Hey, nurse. You number two? Who's number one? Hey, Kenzie. Hey, Mel. Hey, Shell. Seashell. Oh, Nona is number one. Nona is number one. Hey, Casey. I was like, who's number one if you're number two? Hey, Kia. Hey, nurse. Oh, someone beat you too. Yeah, I am so excited. I'm excited. I had a great conversation this afternoon. Shout out to Nona. Shout out to Miss Nona. Me and her had a long conversation this afternoon. Beautiful, pleasant young lady. Pleasant. She's gonna be my a workout partner, y'all. My walking partner. It's gonna be my walking partner. Do you know every time I search you're on YouTube and I type ISL Sylvia, you do? How was the field trip? Mel, let me tell you. Let me tell you. After I got my oil change, right? I came home and I said, and I was a lazy couch potato. I was a lazy couch potato, so I didn't go anywhere. But I had a good time. I had so many great conversations today. I had so many great conversations, you know. So many great conversations. A lot of things are moving for me. A lot of things are moving. Shakers, makers, bakers, movers, shakers, all of that, all the above. Let me say hello to the folks in here. Let me say hello. Hey, Nurse. Hey, Kenzie. Hey, Mel. Hey, Seashell. Hey, Love Nona. Hey, Casey. Kenzie again. Mel again. Kia. Nurse again. Kate. Okay, I keep repeating y'all. Hold on. Tall Glass. Ariel. Michael. Teresa. Royal Teamy. Let's see. Gwen, Brandy P, Tracy Braxton, Bonnie Turner, Kimberly Black, Michael Williams in the house. We're going to go to my back channel too, because, I have to do both channels so I can keep the momentum going, YouTube make you a slave to it. You know what I'm saying? Even when you don't want to get on there, it makes you get on. Hey, Bishop. Ashley's in the house. Hey, Ash. Look, they make you a slave to this thing here, because when you don't get on, your number starts dropping, all this kind of stuff. They make you a slave to this. So even when days I don't feel like getting on, I'll be like, okay, I gotta get on. Yeah. So that's why I'm on tonight. I have no direction, no specific topic, just conversation. Hey, Black Beauty. No specific conversation, just, chit chat. I've been reading a lot. Been listening to different things that has happened. Like one of the things, did y'all hear about Nicki Minaj? Nicki Minaj was arrested. I heard that earlier today. Then I read some articles. We can talk about some different articles. I mean, because all I've been doing is like reading. And talking to God, of course. Talking to God. And he has opened up some doors. And now I know when people say don't let the left hand know what the right hand doing, that kind of stuff, because we got haters. just, and I also believe that what God has for you is for you. Can't nobody take it down, but you can delay it by letting folks know your business. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to keep certain things. Hush, hush. Hush, hush. Kimberly said flashback uploads. You want me to do some flashbacks? You want me to do some flashbacks? Because I got. Remember, y'all, I told you I got tons. Look, I got tons. Tons. Oh, that's not it, y'all. I got more. Hold on. Those are back. Hold on. Hey, Michael. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Appreciate you for the support. Hold on. Look, I got another one. Look, I got a whole bunch. Look at this. I got a Lacey. Look. This one is I think 6 terabytes, 5 terabytes. Got a Lacey one. I got one right here. Got this one. This one is a Seagate. A Seagate? What is that one? Yeah, Seagate. Seagate. And this one here is a WD. And this one here is a Toshiba. Tashi, whatever. I know I can't read. And then I got one over here, another one, a Toshiba. Another one right here. There's another one. I got a whole bunch. And then let's not talk about these little things here. So I got footage for days, y'all. Footage for days. Because remember the case started like 2020. I have from 2022 December. That's what I started going in November 2022. So I have a lot of footage because remember I do my camera and I do my the other stuff, and then I got all the documents, right? The documents that's filed. Bonnie, hey. Okay, y'all. You said we're gonna do some. You want us to do that, Kim? Oh, you want to do some of those? Okay. Kim wants to do some like old stuff, like with the interviews I've had. That's what we'll do. Yeah, Kim. We're gonna do some of those. She said, let's see. Judge Joe Brown. If I'm hot, take it off. I am hot. I am so hot right now. Because hold on. Got to take it off. Take it off. I was getting hot. Whew. It's getting hot. Because earlier it was warm, cold in here because we have the air conditioner on. And it was kind of cold in here, but now it's like gotten hot. Oh, you want to do the jury selection? I was planning on rewatching jury selection to make out who was select. Oh no, you won't be able to you won't be. Oh, you want to do that one? Okay, hold on. Let's go ahead on and pull up. We're going into my archive, y'all. Hold on. We're gonna go into my archive. Oh, also, guys, I remember I have books too. I know a lot of people was interested in Hugh Hefner. I have the book on Hugh Hefner's wife. I have so much stuff. Okay, let's do. Okay, since Kim said first, I'm gonna go with Kim's option. Yeah, we got so much options, y'all. So many options. I mean, look, you should see I have 3,000 videos on this channel. 3,000 videos. You cannot say I have not been working. You cannot say I have not been working. 3,000 videos, y'all. 3,000 videos. No book? Okay, no books. All right, let's do the let's go with what Kim asked for, because Kim asked first. Kim asked first, and we're gonna give Kim what she asked for. Kim put in a request first. Okay, let's go into my interviews. All right, here go all my interviews. Let's go into my little stash over here. All right, you said you want to do Joe Brown, Judge Joe Brown. Which one? We got three Judge Joe Browns, Kim. We got three Judge Joe Browns. We even have lead attorney in here too. Uh-oh. Okay, let's do Judge Joe Brown. Let's do. We did midday discussion with Judge Joe Brown. All right, let's do that one. Let's do Judge Joe Brown. No, this is my interview with him, not his co-host. This is me.
And now we had two kids on the playground with a State of the Union address with the president. So, they wanted.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Hi, Judge.
Hello there.
How are you?
Fine. I really hate StreamYard.
Oh, I don't have anything better.
Well, you got
He said,
Zoom works much easier. StreamYard, you have to go through Facebook or Google. My
he said,
setup won't let me go through Google, go through Facebook. They don't believe I'm who I am on Facebook, so they give me the name Judge Jose Brown. And that would look very stupid since they want that to come up. You got to go through changes to get it to reflect the next name, real name, when you're trying to get in on yours. So I know StreamYard's easier for your purposes, but it's really nasty. I wish they'd just make it go away.
oh,
Zoom is a lot more efficient.
so how does Zoom work with
But
Facebook?
I don't even have to do it. I can go through my desktop, laptop, iPhone, iPad. I'm on my iPad now because the desktop and laptop won't work with StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
They say it's hazardous. There are too much adware and everything else comes through StreamYard, so malware and stuff. So it is what it is. Let's get on with it. Sorry for the lateness.
That's
But
okay.
around here, I can get better reception 40 miles from nowhere on a main highway someplace.
He doesn't hold back. Well,
You
welcome,
say
Judge.
don't controversial, it may drop. Okay, now I have your list of things, and I went over them pretty much. Where you want to start?
Let's start from the beginning. I want to know a little bit about you. I did get some information. Of course, I know you from being on the Judge Show. That's where I know you from, and
Yeah, all that.
all the great stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, there's so much of it really synthesized that they say on Wikipedia, they talk all kinds of nonsense. But okay, I grew up in Los Angeles, kindergarten through law school, transplanted to Memphis, Tennessee about 50 years ago. Oh, let's see. I've been a playground director, substitute teacher for junior high and high school, taught college, been an adjunct law professor, worked with poverty law, legal services in this area. I got sent here on a job. They fired me from the first assignment because I had the director convinced that I was going to throw him out of his seventh floor office window. But in any event, I came to Memphis from Nashville, and I wound up working with the director. We ultimately became law partners.
Mhm.
I worked with EEOC as a compliance officer. And let's see, I became the first black prosecutor for the city of Memphis. Then I ran the city of Memphis's public defender's office. Then I went into private practice. I think it was about 1978. I specialized in trial law, did a lot of federal and felony cases and such like. I had 42 first degree murder cases, death penalty demanded, and a lot of other rapes, robberies, burglaries, assaults, shootings, and all that kind of thing. Can't even count them. One time I did a part time gig with the PD's office handling habitual offenders and major violators. None of my 42 clients are on death row, and most of them got off.
Wow.
And I wound up being, I had one claim to distinction. I got the youngest person in the world on death row. I got his conviction set aside by the Arkansas Supreme Court unanimously on three grounds, one of which included having an all white jury.
Uh-oh.
It was quite exciting. We got a stay of execution 23 minutes before the scheduled execution. He was
Wow.
15 years, 2 weeks old at that time. And I had about 25 phones and ground lines in this room, and they all had ringers and red lights on it. Two of them rang at the same time. The warden picked up one, I picked up one, and there were people there to get the same message. So I got the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for Arkansas on one line, and then Governor Bill Clinton was on the other. So we swapped phones and gave it to the witnesses, and the warden called off the execution.
Wow.
So they set the conviction aside. So was what it was. That was back in the 80s. And then let's see, I got elected criminal court judge for the first of two 8-year terms. And I had all of this novel sentencing and the distinction of reducing the statewide recidivism rate for felons. That is, guy got convicted, and he's 80% of them would be back again. And in my courtroom, it dropped down to 18% because I was doing counseling with these people. I put you on probation. I let you out of jail. I set a bond for you. You had to come to my counseling classes. And we did a whole lot about training, education. I gave them keys to the jail cell. You get to step 6 in a 12-point program, and you get your GED. Come on back. We'll talk about it. Don't double cross me because I will jack you up. So a lot of people to this day, 30 years later, walk up, Judge, you remember me? No. Well, you gave me some time. Did I give you enough? Yeah, okay, yeah. See, but it was that manhood thing you were breaking down. And since you did that, I've got grandchildren going to college, and I'm trying to do what I have to do to be a man. Thank you for the inspiration. So we did that. And then I wound up being the last judge on the James Earl Ray King case, and it was going to be my conclusion that Ray did not kill King. In fact, he wasn't even in the city. And the Homicide Bureau kept insisting you don't have the right man. First judge said the rifle needed to be retested. It never did get retested because Ray entered what they call an Alford plea, which is I'm not guilty, but I'm pleading guilty because I think it's in my best interest. And he never did confess, not once. He always denied it. So Judge Battle gave a press conference after taking Ray's plea and said, I'm sure he's guilty, but he didn't act alone. And the next day he disappeared, and they found him dead of a heart attack. And it's the same guy that used to jog 5 miles a day. All kinds of crazy stuff. So I wound up getting the rifle retested, and what they pulled out of King's body was not fired from Ray's rifle. And you would have had to have had a custom made rifle in order to match the ballistics on the bullet, reflected on the bullet they pulled out of King's body. And the bullet they pulled out of King's body was a special hand loaded bullet. It was not made in any factory. And it had a, if you're into it, it had a rate of rifling twist of one turn in every 11 and a quarter inches of barrel. raised rifle at a rate of rifling twist of one turn in every 10 inches.
Mhm.
And if it didn't have 1 in 10, it would be 1 in 12. So guess what? Late December 1967, the FBI on invoice got 5 rifles that would match the specifications and 5,000 rounds of ammunition that would match the bullets on what they pulled out of King's body.
Mhm.
The shot was fired from the fire station, not from the flop house nor the bushes. It was a 2-man team. It was likely recruited from the Marine Sniper School at Quantico, where the FBI had a training academy. Somebody just walked over. No mafia, no nothing, none of this Raoul nonsense you hear about. And that was just a smokescreen. Ray was one of maybe 4 alternative scapegoats, and they picked him because he wasn't even in town. There's a lot more to it. But anyway, that got some notoriety. And I'd had 60 Minutes, nightly news, Ed Bradley street stories. Some people came in from Australia, New Zealand, and Japan to do this thing about my sentencing, since it seemed to have worked.
Mhm.
And some people out here at a place called Big Ticket TV were trying to tamp Judy down, who wanted what they thought was too much money. So I found out they recruited me so they could tell her that they were going to replace her with me. But
Mm.
then they tried to shut the show down so they could embezzle money. $25 million is what they got away with. But I did an end run on them. I hired my own publicist, paid her $250,000. For 1 year, we saved the show. They left, and I was there for 13 and a half, 14 more years.
Wow. Okay.
So it is what it is.
Mm.
And I'll get to that too, in terms of, you have one of your topics here, setting people up in this hashtag me too. And I'll tell you about an incident where several where they tried to set me up for that, but we thwarted it because I was smart. Some of these people that get caught in here, they don't have any street sense, not enough common sense, and they're too off into being a celebrity because it always worked at it. I was in my 50s before that show started. So it had a 15-year run. And for the last few years, I was beating Oprah in the ratings almost every week, Dr. Phil every week, stepping on Judy's heels. We were all in the same special unit under a guy named Roger King.
Mhm.
He recruited Oprah after he auditioned 350 women. He picked her. He picked Dr. Phil, not Oprah, and they gave him me and Judy.
Mhm.
So he came to me and said, I don't think they like you because you're a straight black man, but I like you. So we're going to see what we can do about this. So every time I started beating Judy in the ratings, what happened was they changed her rating schedule so she'd get ramped up. They could have exercised the same option for me, but they weren't going to do that. And they didn't particularly want a straight black man as the highest paid person in Hollywood outside of Leslie Moonves, who was CEO for CBS. So
Mhm.
therein lies the story. The CBS version is that my ratings dropped. Well, hell, so did Judy's, but I was still the number 1 and number 2 syndicated show in the country, and I just happened to have more people watching me than any other show, period, except an NBA playoff game or an NFL Super Bowl game or something like that, or something dealing with a State of the Union address with the president. So, you know, they wanted me to take an IOU for a bunch of millions of dollars. And I said, screw you. I'm old enough to retire. I've been here 15 years. I'm tired of you miserable SOBs backstabbing everybody and trying to get folk to be corrupted with your agenda. So now I'm in retirement, and they're trying to bring me back out by acclamation to run for mayor of Memphis. That will
Ooh.
be JJB in 2023 in Memphis,
2023.
Tennessee.
Okay, JJB 2023.
And I've got some ideas to turn this place around and get rid of some of these corrupt scoundrels that are on the city council and involved in various places in the government. They don't
Mhm.
get paid but $28,000 a year and spend 3 times that much getting elected to a part-time gig. that they bootstrapped from being piss broke when they got in to being wealthy when they get out, if they don't go to jail. But anyway, that's another story.
All right. Thank you so.
I'm proud of the fact that I was a scoutmaster for 15 years, but I bailed when they started wanting to let openly that way folk in. I said that's not going to work. So they wound up going bankrupt last year, paying all of these settlements for child molestation. Then they tried to cover it up by letting little girls in. And there's no way in hell that a grown man is supposed to be out in the wilderness with a bunch of little girls and boys who are 11, 12, 13 years old. They get naked for these showers and stuff, and he doesn't need to be there. That's poison. But see, it went belly up. Now that was a thing for 100 years that had been helping out boys, inner city and everywhere else, get their man training a little bit anyway in the good places. But it is what it is. So also speaking of stuff about the man up thing, I started talking about that in LA on Trinity Avenue Elementary School, where I
Okay,
was
I'm
an
gonna go to my
assistant
next interview. Hold on,
playground
y'all.
director.
We're
I
gonna
worked
end
for a
this
guy
one
named
here.
Clifford Stewart.
All right, guys, we got some more exclusive in here. All right, so let's go ahead on. I had a panel. Hold on. All right, y'all. My next interview was with Tony Terry. Y'all, you know the guy who sings, singing artist. Hold on, here we go. Tony Terry.
And he agreed to work it. So it's called Born to Love You.
He's gonna
Here it
sing,
goes.
y'all. He's gonna sing. Okay.
Make sure it's not too loud. Yeah, it was too loud.
He's gonna sing for us, y'all.
Yeah, they can see me. Hey, baby, can I talk to you? Ooh, if I told you I adore you, it would cost me nothing, but it cost me everything. If I could offer you nothing, but all is enough. There's no price tag on Tony's touch. Ooh, so I text you yes, and send you on. Baby, I love you. I was
Okay, that's my interview with Tony Terry. Let's go do another interview. Hold on, y'all. We got so many. Just giving you a tip, a little bit of touch of the interviews. Hold on a second. And then one day I had a whole bunch of attorneys on my I did a whole bunch of attorneys. Oh, hold on a second. I even did, let's see. This is a night where I had a whole bunch of attorney. All right, here we go. There's a whole bunch of attorneys I had on from Chicago. These attorneys was from Chicago.
Event in a criminal enterprise if they did this voluntarily. I've seen this Mann Act used in other cases, but it's usually restricted to people who are actually dragging prostitutes or biker girls or dancers from one place to another. Here, nobody's dragging anybody anywhere. They are voluntary participants in whatever it is that they want to do by being a groupie.
Yeah. But they're able to dirty.
Hold on a second, y'all.
And sign papers.
That.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
We're
Do nothing.
Hold on.
That's the whole group.
That don't seem like the.
Hold on.
So the mistress.
That they were prevented from doing a final.
I didn't see any donkey sex or any weird stuff at all here. I asked my chauffeur or my bodyguard, hey, you see that cute girl over there? Give her my number. How is that a federal crime? I mean, really, how is that a federal crime?
Yeah. But he was a married man,
Testified. What happened?
Well, he's not. Again,
yeah, that's one
in
of
New York are smart enough.
That's that was one interview. Let me stop that one here. Let's go, because I'm going to show you some more. Hold on. And then I had the activist, Jane. Hold on, y'all. Here come Jane, y'all. She has been all over the world talking about racism. There go Jane, one of my other interview.
And then I married this man, and we moved to Waterloo. And
yeah,
you had teachers who were suffering from self-imposed ignorance, and they had no business being called teachers because they weren't teaching you anything except something that was wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, it stuck with me up until today, and I'm like, why did they do that?
Because they're ignorant. They're educators. Some of the most ignorant people in this country are educators. You go to, I'm sorry, I'm going to really irritate a whole lot of people with this. But when you have educators coming out of 4 years of college, still referring to people as members of different races, those educators haven't been educated. They have been conditioned, they have been indoctrinated, but they haven't been educated. And they are willing to go along and teach what they were taught. You can't teach what you don't know. And until educators start reading books like, go to my website, download the printed learning materials on the website, read every book that's listed on that bibliography under racism. If educators would do that when they went into the classroom, they wouldn't talk about monkeys ever again. Because they would realize that when they talked about black people or descendants from monkeys, if they would trace their DNA back, their own DNA back as far as they could, they would find that they have DNA that came from Africa. So they're saying about themselves, we are monkeys. We aren't monkeys. We are not monkeys. We are not descendant from monkeys. We're descended from African Americans who were brilliant and who managed to leave the area of the equator and populate every landmass on the face of the earth.
Okay, that was Jane, y'all. Jane Elliott. I'm showing you guys some of my interviews that I've had. Okay. Do you guys remember the attorney that took care of that was there for that was okay, this is Ranieri's attorney, Joseph Tooley. Joseph Tooley.
This and I really wanted to get into telecom law and internet law. It would have been the perfect time. And I moved to Fresno after law school, and there's no internet legal jobs in Fresno. So the only job that I could get was at the public defender's office in Fresno County, which has, it has a big caseload. It's notorious throughout the state is being just a lot of caseload there. And I was really kind of, disappointed in myself. But after a few days on that job, I fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with it. I love the people. I love the job. I think that being a defense attorney, to me, it teaches me to become a better person and to live by better ideas. And I've never gone back from being a defense attorney since being on that job and falling in love with it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you know how I became familiar with you is through Twitter. I've seen some of your posts, and one of the posts you had hashtag free R. Kelly. I was like, oh wow, finally someone who's believing that something's not right here. I am familiar with the case that you're currently on, Mr. Keith Raniere. Is that
I think like Canary, so Canary, Raniere. So Keith
Raniere.
Raniere. Yeah.
Okay, I screw up people's name all the time, so please forgive me.
Yeah, no worries.
But what I'm familiar with, because he has the same charges that Mr. Kelly has. So, and just recently, I was listening and watching the news. You mentioned something about something with the prosecution and what they were doing. So, and also, I know you have a book called California Collusion.
State of Collusion, yes.
State of Collusion. And what's that book all about?
It's basically a tell-all book. It's throwing airing the dirty laundry out in public. People watch TV or see the law in the movies. They don't understand what the system is really like when you're in the trenches. It's run by egos. People don't care about justice. They care about their job. They care about their paycheck, and they care about ego. It's a power system, and there's pecking order. People, judges have a lot of power, prosecutors have a lot of power, law enforcement has a lot of power, and you have to fight your way through that system. And I've been very successful, but there's a lot that just really made me angry, and I tell the truth, I'm not here to attack people, various judges. There are great judges, there are great prosecutors, there are great people in law enforcement, and I salute them. But the majority right now, the culture is because of that power, that the bad apples are kind of controlling the culture there. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see a shift. I'd like to see, the good people step up, seek positions of leadership, and we can all be better people. I need to work every day to be a better person. But I'm committed, and I'm fallible. I make mistakes, but I truly want to be a good person and to bring that to my position. And I think that's what we need to see within the criminal justice system. It's just bring a better self every day.
Yeah, it's sad that so many people are being affected by this system that's not fair to just people, and I know people of color. We get it really bad. We really do get it bad.
Right.
And some of the tactics.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a scorecard, and to a lot of people, to a lot of prosecutors, and it's an us and them. It's an our tribe versus their tribe mentality. We're the good guys, so really what we do is okay. Or I have more power than you. I'm going to do what I want to you. You know,
Mhm.
it's terrible.
Yeah. And in the federal system, they make up rules and they don't follow the rules that's there. They just make up things and apply it as they go. Because it's the
Correct.
first time I've ever seen any kind of RICO charge for an entertainer.
Hmm. Hmm.
How is that possible for an entertainer to get a RICO charge?
Well, so it's possible because the case that I'm working on, the Keith Raniere, and people might know from Nexium, um, that was the blueprint. You know, that case had been shopped around and shopped around, and the state prosecutors turned it down, and all other federal prosecutors turned it down. They said this is behavior between consenting adults. We don't see any criminal activity here. It got to one prosecutor in one district, the Eastern District of New York, and they, you know, developed a RICO theory, which allowed them to go, you know, past statute of limitations and kind of give more power. And for those people who don't know, RICO was designed for mob families. It was designed for the government to say, okay, sure, you didn't pull the trigger, but you're the mob boss. You gave the order. And even if you didn't, you know, give the order to that person, you gave the order to somebody who gave the order to that person. So we do need that RICO law, but it's being abused here. So they used it against Keith Raniere, and they said, well, you know, you have it was basically, you know, like a self-help group, a community college, you know, some people describe it as a cult. It wasn't like there was a compound and you couldn't leave. People could come and go. It was, I think it's more analogous to a community college. But they used the RICO applied to his situation first because they didn't have jurisdiction otherwise. Then they used that blueprint and they said, well, you know, R. Kelly has a touring company. Well, you know, surely that must be, we can use the same blueprint and say that was RICO too. It worked with the Nexium case. Let's use it here. And they did it.
Yeah, because I saw some of the parts in the transcripts and also in the motion, they reference Raniere's case, Raniere's case. And so that basically set the precedent for them to be able to come after an R. Kelly or whoever comes after that. So when prosecution do those kind of tricky things, how can a person really fight them?
It's really, really hard. I mean, let's look at really what they're doing. Let's say that I'm going to make up, this is completely made up. There's no truth to this at all. Okay.
Okay.
But let's say that the CEO of Target is an alcoholic. Again, this is complete analogy. I don't know who the person is, but I'm just making up something right now. So let's say this for purposes of this analogy, let's say the CEO of Target is an alcoholic. And obviously the CEO buys alcohol because they get a paycheck from Target. And so it would be like the government could therefore, based on what they did to Keith Raniere and what they did to R. Kelly, they could say, listen, let's say the headquarters is in Florida. Hey, you cashier in California, you're part of a criminal enterprise because you were working at your job and you produced money that ultimately went to the CEO, and the CEO used that money to buy alcohol and was a serial drunk driver, you know, drove drunk every day, you know, then therefore the whole company of Target is now a criminal enterprise. And that's not what RICO is for, right? But if you take the blueprint that they developed for Raniere and used against R. Kelly, you know, he had a touring company. And they say, well, it was designed to promote his music and to promote his concerts and designed to get him sexual partners. And therefore it's RICO. And so they're taking a law like government does. They take their power and expand it, and expand it. And actually, maybe, I think was it W.E.B. Du Bois that said government will never relinquish its power. You have to take it back from them. I think there's a quote from him along those lines. So, I mean, that's, you know, I'll be clear. I don't believe in violence. I don't advocate violence. So, but I do agree that government does not give up power willingly. So, you know, you and I could sit here and figure out what approaches we need to do. We need to do something.
All right. Okay, that was that interview. Let's go ahead on with another one of my guests. I love this. This is my one of my favorites. Timothy, great attorney. All right, there she go.
Well, and they said they anticipate this trial is going to last between 6 and 8 months or something like that.
That's a lot.
And from my understanding, that's going to be really, really hard to get a regular person to be a juror.
Oh, definitely, because so under various laws, if you have to do jury duty, like if you have a job, your job can't fire you because of jury duty. You just so happen to on this jury for 8 or 9 months, and it's the case from hell, and your job is upset. That's just what it is. But that's a long time for a case for people for you to have someone's attention, and then not only that, a case this long at some point, unless it's exciting every day, at some point jurors kind of check out.
You hear that, right?
And then it's not going to be the benefit. Oh Lord. The other thing is, what type of makeup do you think the jury will be because of that the longevity of the trial? Do you think it would just be like retiree or rich people? I mean, what do you think the makeup would be of the jurors?
Okay, so I do jury consultation for other attorneys. So we go into, or I go into it a different way. So I say, who is my target juror? Do I want them to, like, what ethnicity do I want them to be? What education? What is their marital status? So on and so forth. So I pick who my target juror is, and then I try to strike people from there who are not my target juror.
Okay. And is there a difference between jury selection with state and a jury selection with the feds?
No, it's typically the same. The major difference that I have seen and experienced is that in the federal system, the judges give you less time for jury selection, where on the state level, they give you more time for jury selection.
Okay. As far as strikes and things like that, do they give the same amount of numbers, or is it just different on that?
No, it's a little bit different, and it varies by state. But some things that don't change is, say, for instance, if you want to strike a juror for cause, meaning you have a legal reason to strike this juror from the panel, that doesn't change. You have unlimited options to strike a juror for cause. So, like, just say, for instance, a person says, well, I can't sit in judgment of someone else. That's a reason to strike a juror for cause. Or if a juror says, no, I'm biased, I'm in favor of one party over the other, that's a challenge for cause. And you have you have the complete right to strike someone for cause.
Okay. All right, so I want to get a little bit into this case. I sent you over the indictment. Did you get a chance to take a look at it? And
Thank you, Kim.
I want to hear your thoughts on this whole thing.
Okay, so the first thing is, after reviewing the indictment, I completely understand why the judge did not give him bond. I completely understand. Because of all the acts that he's involved in. One, I think just the pure volume of the overt acts and what they're alleging is quite a bit. And then in the same breath, some of the acts that they're accusing him of, like being involved in murders and things like that, yeah, I completely understand why she did give him bond, because it's showing that there's a level of dangerousness that the public cannot be protected from. So, say, for instance, in regards to one of the conspiracies, for murder, that he is not an overt act that he did, but what happened is they were going to contact him to get approval for a murder and see how much it would pay. The thing is, well, yeah, we can let you out on bond and put you on house arrest with guards, but we can't monitor your phone calls. You know what I mean? Because they were just looking for a way to contact him. So just contact would be potentially dangerous for the public.
Okay. Now, on that note, you just mentioned that the danger of not getting a bond, and all of the other co-defendants did not get a bond, right? Just recently, they've been given a whole bunch of plea deals, right?
Mhm.
How is it possible that you can give them a plea deal where they got out right away, but you say that they're so dangerous to even get a bond? Why is it okay for them to get out so quickly and without any kind of time, extra time being added on, or even give them a 2 or 3 years, but they gave them probation, 15 years probation, and they're out.
Mhm.
So,
So once a person is sentenced, like meaning the person accepts their probation, it's over. You have to be released. You've accepted your probation. Your case is disposed of. You're on probation. You abide by the guidelines of the probation department. And the standards for giving someone bond versus your sentence to probation, those are two totally separate things. So giving someone bond is, hey, is this person safe to be free while their case is pending? And because there's so many allegations, especially like of intimidation and things like that, the concern of the court is, are they going to intimidate witnesses while they're on bond in order to inhibit the case? Versus when I pled guilty, I admitted I did X, Y, and Z, then you're on your probation. So the issue is, protect while the case is pending. Are they going to interfere with the case while they're on bond? And there was a strong likelihood of them doing that, which is why they were denied bond.
hmm, well, okay. Why didn't the feds take this case? It's a
That's what
RICO.
I was wondering. No, I wasn't wondering if that for that reason. I was wondering it for other reasons,
Okay.
because not even on the RICO level, I could care less about that. But so many of the acts are federal, can be charged federally. Like they have them on possession of firearm by a felon. So many of them, those were easy federal wins, easy wins. And like possession of a firearm, like while they were having drugs or in furthering of drug trafficking. Those are like easy federal wins. And so I was very, very curious, like, why, for the cases that they knew they would get a win on federally, why
Thank
didn't
you
they
for the
allow
cash
the feds
app.
to take the case? But I think one thing is that we have to keep in mind, even though they were charged and convicted under Georgia law, they can still be prosecuted under federal law for the same offenses.
Mhm.
The feds can still charge them.
Okay. And I was looking at the charge because one person I saw that was a charge done in Arizona, which is not. Why would you put that here in the Georgia case, and it's not a federal case, but you're gonna still include that crime in there from another state?
Let me see if I can pull it up because I have the indictment. I'm trying to see which count that is.
I think it was like all the way to like after 56. Hold on, let me just check. Hold on.
I kept this one on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, so that charge is possession of a firearm by a felon. So what that means is you are a felon under any state law or even federal law, and you possess the firearm. So what you have to prove is, first, this person is a felon. So he became a felon in Arizona, and you are now in Georgia. So even no matter where you are, you still can't possess a firearm. So they say, okay, you were convicted in Arizona, you are a convicted felon. You came to Georgia and possessed a firearm as a convicted felon. So it's not getting into the Arizona case. It's saying that that's where you were convicted of your felony at.
Okay. Now, as far as I wasn't going to keep you too long here. As far as a defense, if you were on this particular case What would be some of the ways you would handle this case?
Okay, so the first thing is a lot of the overt acts aren't overt acts. Like they talk a lot about their social media posts. Like, oh, they posted X, Y, and Z. They had a YSL chain or a YSL tattoo in furtherance of the organization. That's not an overt act. I'm pretty sure most of the posts were not for the purpose of promoting YSL. These were just their social media posts. And they've done that in several of the overt acts. Now, I was reading it, and I'm like, they're really reaching with a lot of the social media posts saying that they were overt acts because they weren't. So, and then like they were, like say for instance, overt act number 29. It's a social media post, and the guy posed for a picture. Oh, it was a bunch of them in the picture, including Young Thug. But he says flashing YSL gang hand signs an overt act of the furtherance of conspiracy. That has nothing to do with anything. A social media post. I mean, if he was doing something in the post, but just standing there and you're throwing up your sign, that's not an overt act in furtherance of anything. It's a social media post. And so a lot of the posts were like that. Like one of them, they were like, oh, this person posted their face, made a post, and they have a YSL tattoo there. Well, hey, they could have posted a picture of them carrying their groceries in their grandma's house, and their YSL tattoo was showing. That doesn't mean that was an overt act in furtherance of their activity. Like a lot of the overt acts were reaching, especially the social media posts.
And then YSL can mean anything. Your Louis Vuitton bag is YSL.
So yeah, it's just a lot of it is insane. But I think my main thought would be, how do I dismantle this RICO? Like, how do I dismantle it? So I think the first thing is showing that a lot of the overt acts aren't overt acts. That's the first thing. And then second, and I'm pretty sure by now they have the witness list saying, okay, who are these witnesses? How can I attack them and their credibility? But most importantly is, how can I change this narrative that YSL is not a gang? And I think, or whatever they want to allege, but I think that his defense team is going to have they're going to have an uphill battle, because there are so many things that are going to come into evidence that have nothing to do with him, but the jury's going to hear about it. And so when they hear about it, it's like you can't unhear it. You know what I mean? You can't hear it. So even though those things may not have anything to do with him, you've heard it, and all you've heard for months and months and months and months is bad acts. So from there, it's just like, whoa. And if you're sitting there for months, it's like, one, I'm tired, I'm ready to go. And I don't see any way to make this be something else.
Okay.
So
as far as the prosecution, they went from 28 defendant down to 14. Why do you think they did that? Do you think it's a strategy, or why do you think they didn't do all 28?
And one trial? Oh, so there could be several reasons. One, it could be we don't have the capacity to do 28 at a time. It could be simple as that. But it could be, as far as strategy, it could be, let's do these 14 so that we can get our convictions or whatever it is. And then, like, just say they get convictions on this first trial. Then these other 14 can see the writing on the wall and go ahead and take the plea offer.
Well, they took the plea offer. The other ones, there was, I think it was 8 that took a plea offer, and then the other one, they postponed their trial.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have attorneys.
Because they don't have attorneys?
Yeah, they don't have attorneys.
They didn't get a public defender?
No, they didn't have it.
What?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the United States, if you cannot afford an attorney, the court has to appoint you one. So the only way that a person goes to trial without a lawyer is if that person says, I want to represent myself.
No,
that is insane.
They could not find attorneys for them, so they severed their case from that.
Okay, well that makes sense. Because let me just, I do not accept court appointments. I did for 6 months. I'm like, this is a waste of time. But if I did accept court appointments to get on a case where I know that my client the person wants to go to trial, or there's a chance of trial, for 9 months, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Because when you're in trial, even though you have your office and you have your staff or whatever it is may be, you generally don't make money while you're in trial. You don't make money while you're in trial because you're beginning of your day, you're in court the whole day. You get out of court, you have to prepare for court the next day. So you really aren't taking in new clients, especially if the person doesn't have the staff or another attorney that works for them. So it's a money pit. Like, you're going to lose money. And then for most court appointed, most states where you get court appointed, you don't get paid until the case is over. Mm-hmm. So you are working this case for over a year, 9 months of it, you're in trial. You're going to bankrupt yourself, like, for one case? No. And you're not going to get that much money. So, I wouldn't do it either. Now I completely understand.
So do you think that's one of the reasons why they were able to get those plea deals, so to persuade their clients to take the plea deal because they didn't want to do the work?
So I'm going to say that's it's possible. I'll say it's possible because it's a 9-month trial. Like, that's a killer. Like, if your client did not pay you at least 6 figures, and I'm not talking like 100,000 for a 9-month trial. I mean, it cannot be a one in front of like whatever they paid you to do a 9-month trial. By no means. Mm-hmm. It's a plea. And I think another thing is a lot of attorneys, they charge 2 different fees. You may have your fee for a plea, and then you have your fee for a trial. So, hey, this is my fee if the case pleads out. This is my fee if you go to trial. And the fee if you go to trial is a lot higher. So if the person knows, hey, I have no chance of paying this higher amount to go to trial, your answer is you're going to plead.
But if they're court appointed, and meaning the person doesn't have any money,
for a 9-month trial, man, talk about putting the pressure on these people. Because if not, if the person doesn't plead, then your office goes into the tank. So yeah, hey, it's either you're gonna plead or I gotta withdraw because I can't do a 9-month trial.
Wow, that is some good information on that one. That kind of explain a lot of things.
Like, that's a 9-month trial. Like, you going broke as a court appointed lawyer.
Yeah, no wonder why they was convincing them, hey, take a plea. And the ones that wouldn't take a plea, they're like, oh, because the 2, they brought them back to see if they were going to take a plea, and they refused to take a plea.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I think I saw it in the news, and they were like, the judge was even surprised. Yeah, because it's just like, but again, another thing that can happen is while the trial is going on, the rest of the case can just stand still. So you just stuck in there waiting for your turn unless your attorney goes in and says, hey, can we talk about a plea? But the prosecutors also can't really talk about it for you because they're in the middle of the actual trial. Mm-hmm. So it's a horrible situation.
Wow. Can you explain that plea deal, please? They mentioned, I can't remember the name of it. Oh my God. Can somebody help me? It's called Alfred something.
An Alfred plea.
Thank you. Could you explain that?
Yes. So an Alfred plea is a plea where you're saying, I'm not guilty, but I recognize that the state has enough evidence to prove me guilty.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm innocent. I'm saying I'm innocent, but I recognize that they have enough evidence to prove me guilty.
And then that person, they said that that person did not have to testify.
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay. Okay. So that was the Gunner guy that he got the Alfred plea. So people kept saying, "Oh, he's snitching and he's gonna tell." That doesn't mean that at all.
No, it doesn't. And I think what more than and the thing is, a lot of people don't know about Alfred pleas because they're typically very rare. They're typically very rare.
So
So
can you ask for it, or is it the prosecution has to offer it to you? Can you?
No, you can ask for it. You can ask for it. And I think a lot of people, when doing an Alfred plea, the main thing is, especially in his situation, if me pleading guilty means I'm going to be released, and I recognize that they have enough evidence to find me guilty anyway, let me go ahead and get this out the way so I can get out of jail.
Okay. Okay. Now, what do you think about the 15-year probation?
That is insane. Who the hell? And I feel like 15 years of probation is setting someone up for failure.
Yeah.
That's setting someone up for failure. In Texas, the maximum period you can be on probation is 10 years. So, yeah, and that's just insane. 15 years of probation, it's insane. I feel like they're setting them up for failure because if they are already committing these types of crimes and have been committing these crimes for all these years, there's no way they're going to stay clean and out of trouble for 15 years.
15 years, yeah. Is there a difference between a federal RICO and a state RICO?
Yes. No, they are very different because with the federal RICOs, they have a broader reach than different state level RICOs. And like some states don't even have RICO statutes. So they're all different at the state level.
Yeah, Georgia just recently adapted the RICO because I heard them mentioning that. So this is like I don't think they ever had a trial like this. This is like going to be the precedence of all trials. So they got to make sure they cross all their T's and dot all their I's for this case, because if they don't make it, then whew.
Yeah, so this is the thing. I think when you take out all of the reaching overt acts like the Facebook post or the Instagram post, you take those out, they have some really good overt acts. The next issue is, are these people going to testify? Like, say for instance, and I don't know if they pled, say for instance, in one of the overt acts where they were talking about attempting to kill wife and Lucci while in jail. So they did it twice. I think once February 2nd, the other one February the 9th. So I'm sorry, February the 9th and February 22nd. So on the February 22nd, and I think that's number 40, overt act 47. So in that one, they're saying, hey, they were in jail. They were talking about getting approval from Young Thug to kill wife and Lucci while in custody. So they're in custody as well, and what the payment would be. And if those people are going to testify, that overt act is proven. So it's like I said, whoever this witness list is a gold mine. So it's a matter of who is actually going to testify. So even if they have people who aren't going to testify, in order to improve their chances, the prosecutor is definitely offering deals to testify.
Okay, like that guy, the one they just recently, the one to start with the S, because they said he was the one that was in the car and all this blah blah blah. As far as the you have individuals who were already serving time for crimes that has nothing to do with supposedly this crime here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting a taste of freedom, and the likelihood of them lying would benefit them.
Yeah.
So do you think the defense will be able to combat and show that these people just did this agreement to say that this happened because they wanted to be free? Do you think that defense will have some strong like cross-examination that will show that they're here for that purpose? Or
so that's going to depend on the ability of his defense attorney. It's
okay.
So, and it's just a matter of how you approach it. So it's a trial of this magnitude, or any trial, but
You heard what she said, crossing a snitch is an art. Crossing a snitch is an art.
especially a trial of this magnitude, is putting together, it's several different pieces that you put together to make one puzzle. So you start with, your target juror, getting them on the jury, because when you go through jury selection, if you're doing it right, you know a lot about this person, about the way they think, feel, and believe. And then getting those people on the jury. And then, and even in jury selection, you can ask about, have you ever heard of a cooperating witness or a snitch? Or, how do you feel about those? On the jury.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a step-by-step process, but you have to make it all come together. Mm-hmm. So an effective cross-examination will definitely do them some good. But the thing is, you have to be prepared for whatever the witness is going to say. And so if you haven't been able to talk to this witness before, which more than likely they have not, you can potentially open a can of worms that could hurt your client.
I got are you okay taking some questions from the chat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I have one person says here, LG says, for the ones that took the plea from the Fed, can the feds pick the case up?
Yes. So anytime, and it's not double jeopardy, let me be very clear. Double jeopardy is being charged with the same offense and the same jurisdiction. The feds and the state are two separate jurisdictions. So yes, the state and the feds can charge you for the same acts.
Whoa! Wow. Did y'all hear that?
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Because I promised I was not going to keep her on here too long, because I don't want to wear out my welcome with her. Because I know you're busy. Okay, here's a question. The feds is watching, see the state. Okay.
Yeah, so this is another thing. Let's just say the state messes up the case. Like it's going south. And I've seen this happen in other state cases. Like the state case is falling apart. Not even before trial or during trial, but the state case is falling apart. And the feds say, you know what? We see how this is going to go. Let's go ahead and prepare our indictments.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I know. So I'll tell you about a case that happened here in Texas. So this guy was charged with like kidnapping, I think aggravated assault, all types of stuff, for kidnapping someone who stole his drug money and drugs, who was related to him, but it was crazy. So case is going on for years. He's in jail. He can't make bond. He finally is able to make bond. And while he's on bond, he's contacting the person, his alleged victim, so on and so forth, because they know one another. The victim is saying he's not coming to court. The state case is really falling apart. So what happens? The feds pick it up, and they charged him and his associates with more crimes.
Wow. Okay, I have somebody by the name of Terry Brown. She says, what's your retainer fee?
Oh, it varies by case.
How well versed are you in the state of Georgia RICO?
Pretty well versed. So
Mhm.
because at a certain point I was going to get licensed in Georgia, but I'm not coming.
But question, if somebody wanted to, put you, hire you for this, I'm not saying that they are, I'm just asking a question, because I don't know, because you did ask that question about the thing. Are you able to practice here, or you have to do it underneath somebody, or how would that happen?
So what I would do, instead of being an actual attorney on the case, I would just get hired as a consultant.
As a consultant.
So you're getting me, but I'm probably in the courtroom with your lawyers. I'm just not the person standing up asking the questions.
Okay, but you'll see things that the lawyer may not be
Yeah,
asking.
I'll be right there.
Okay. Somebody else. Okay, next question is, can we ask the BPO sharing inmates information? We're on a different case, ma'am. We're on a different case. But, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, are they saying BPL or BOP?
BOP, I think.
Okay,
BOP.
the Bureau of Prisons. So let me just say, the Bureau of Prisons is a whole can of worms times a million. They are understaffed. They can't do things correctly. I've been trying to visit this one client for months. So the BOP is an entire can of worms. And the BOP has a lot of corruption in the BOP. And because the BOP has no oversight, like none. There's no one to check them and say that you're doing these things wrong. All types of shenanigans happens. And unfortunately, these people whose information is being shared, they don't have an attorney because they've already been sentenced. Or even when they haven't been, like reporting these people is the least of their worries. So the BOP, we've caught like case managers lying, like on the phone, recorded calls, and we took it all the way up to DC, and they did everything they could to protect their officers. And I mean, we have recordings.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh, so they protect them really hard. What about if they have? Okay, I was going to ask, I was going to bring up that other case, but let me finish. Okay, Mr. 444 Smile says, can Gunna appeal his sentence?
No, more than likely, as part of the plea agreement, there is a waiver of appeal.
Okay, I thought they said they can do a habeas corpus or something like that.
Yeah, that's different than an appeal. So when you make a plea agreement, part of the plea agreement is you waive your appeal rights, and unless certain things have happened. So, like, say for instance, if you have a case where you file a motion to suppress at some point and you agree to a plea, but you want to be able to appeal the judge not granting your motion to suppress. That's an appeal right that you could keep. But if it's just an appeal right where there weren't any dispositive issues, no, you waived your right to appeal.
Okay. Miss Terry's back again with the question with the hiring. She's asking, what about the state of Michigan?
Yeah, it would. So in the state of Michigan, like I said, if it's a state case, not a federal case, I would just be a consultant. I wouldn't be on the actual case.
But if it's a federal case, you can go and do whatever state it is.
Yes, but so I think the craziest thing I think about Michigan, I'll think about is the cold. Mm-hmm. That's all I think about, because I had to do go to Kansas City, Missouri for a consult on a federal case. Mm-hmm. It was cold, it was raining, and my flight back home, and I was just going that morning, doing my jail consult, flying right back home. Flight back home got canceled, and I was stuck.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that's all I think about, like, when cold states is, what if I get stuck?
Look, don't say that, because I'm about to go to Chicago. Please don't say that. Don't say that to me, please. I don't want to get stuck out there. There's another question. There was another question. Okay, what state are you licensed in?
Texas and New York.
New York and Texas, guys. New York and Texas. Okay, she asked, Mark Quinn, I'm sorry, is Jeffrey going on trial for murder, conspiracy to commit murder, or ordering someone to commit murder?
Hold on. I have the indictment in front of me. Give me 2 seconds and I can let you know. He is number 56, I think.
He had 56, 59, because the other one was just gang activity.
All right, hold on 1 second. Okay, he is number 1. Let's go.
Number 1, which is the RICO one part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he is on.
I know 56. I know 56 is one he's on. 57 he's
okay,
on.
56 is conspiracy to commit murder. And so, yeah, that's the conspiracy, but it doesn't. Yeah, 56, 57. Oh, wow.
The other ones were like for gang activity. Remember?
Hold on. This damn indictment is so long. And what's so crazy is they don't put a lot of information. They didn't put a lot of information in here.
He's fit. I'm gonna give you the numbers and then you look at the crime. 56, 57.
So I have 56. 56 is street gang activity. So that's but this is what they're doing. So 56 is participation in criminal street gang activity. So and the gang activity that they're alleging is murder, aggravated assault, armed robbery, so on and so forth. So they're alleging that all of these are gang activity and he participated in them. So he didn't have to participate directly because he's in the gang. So it's almost like they have the RICO case and 56 is like a mini conspiracy because they're alleging so many acts.
Okay. Now 59, because you said 57
is also participating in street gang activity, but it's not a murder, it's drugs. Then 58 is drugs, 59 is drugs.
60
is drugs.
61?
And 61 is possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, which is possession of marijuana, the possession of the codeine, and the possession of cocaine. This is one that the feds can definitely pick up, and I mean pick up tomorrow.
That one, 61?
So in the federal system, this is what we call possession of a firearm and furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. It's the punishment is found under 924C. And in the federal law, if a conviction under this is a minimum of 5 years.
Okay, 62.
And 62.
Guys, do y'all like this one? Do y'all like this interview? This is one of my interviews. Let me see how long ago did I do that. I think it's about a year ago now. Hold on. Yes, exactly. It was on January 4th, 2023. I did this interview. Well, she's coming back. She's coming back. I reached out to her the other day. She's coming back. She's coming back to me because I said, I miss you. She has a murder case that has been postponed. One of the reasons why I hadn't talked to her in a while is because can I read what? That was just not live. I mean, the what I was just playing was not live. It's an old interview. I was been playing thanks to Kim, I was playing old interviews that I had with different people. And she was one. I picked that one specifically because right before Jeffrey's trial started, I contacted her and we did a live on it. But we'll play it because I need to do that one because that's a good one. I need to do that one by itself. I need to play that one by itself so people who have questions, because she answered a lot of good questions in regarding to this RICO thing here. She answered a lot of good questions because a lot of you guys had those type of questions. She's very, very, very good. She's a federal attorney, but she's licensed in the state of New York and the state of Texas. I reached out to her on a couple of days ago to see if she could come and come back and do because since this already happened, and I know she's been watching what's going on in the news regarding this case. I will, Trina. I'll tell him. He said hello. Yeah, I'm gonna it's gonna be a treat, y'all. We're gonna make sure we're gonna have that night. I'll tell you ahead of time when she'll be back. How I met her. I thank you. King, thank you for the cash app. Lee King, thank you for the cash app. I met her at the trial, the R. Kelly trial in New York. Her and I sat next to each other, and you know me. Y'all know me. I'm gonna talk to people. I'm gonna ask them what they do, and I'm gonna be in the business, right? So, and I was like, I really admire her because, whenever something I didn't understand that was going on in the courtroom, she would explain it to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so brilliant. And so her and I exchange information. Ever since then, we've been pretty cool with each other. I've known her now, 3 years now? Wow, it's been a long time. Because it was a New York trial. That was in 2001 I met her. And this is 24. No, 2021 I met her, and now this is 2024. So 3 years I've known her. She's always been very pleasant, and she's always been willing to come up and explain things to you. She's one of those type of lawyer that she loves law. She loves helping people out. And she's also part of the prison reform. So she's a person that cares about people. It's not just about the money and things like that, but she really cares about brown and black and brown people in the legal system. And she's excellent. She's excellent. When she just loves it. She loves it like the back of her hand, and she knows the law. Is that? No, not the back of her hand. But I'm going to play that interview by itself with a title so people could see that one. Because I think that one is, especially when we know now, is very interesting. It's very interesting. But you heard her, right? You heard what she said in regards to the feds. Now she knows about the feds. If she don't know anything else, she knows about the feds. Oh, Kim is so great for giving me this idea for going back and looking at my old interview. So this one here, we're gonna redo that one with my other people. They yawn. I made you yawn too. Don't say yawn. Don't say yawn. See. I had her on my show so many times. Here's I've had so many attorneys, y'all. I know you guys seen this guy. I know you guys seen this guy on social media.
Girl, we're talking about, multiple.
This,
I know at this point,
I've seen him
when
on
they're testifying, they're women.
Mark,
And so, people are saying, where are the girls? They're testifying as to things that happened, years ago, right? So when they were underage.
The other one lied also.
Okay, so I'm just explaining, how you have a grown woman saying that she had sex this man when she was underage, and how that ends up being a thing.
Okay, so that's I had him. I had so many attorneys throughout this channel. It was like, okay, let me bring another attorney that I had. Hold on. I had so many attorneys. Okay, this is another attorney out of.
I had to say this young lady was ingenious. She looked young. She was in her 20s, and she just told them, "Hey, I'm 17. You're showing child pornography," and they ripped those right down in 20 seconds. So, I mean, that wouldn't work with anybody like me. Nobody, if I said I was 17, nobody would buy it. But
But what about posting a child on the internet? I mean, say somebody didn't give a permission to someone to post a child, say the child's underage, and this individual just posts the what kind of charges that person could get because them not putting the parent did not give permission for them to post the child on their page.
yeah, you have it's not usually going to be a criminal charge. It could be a civil charge of,
Hmm.
appropriating likeness or appropriating someone's images
But
without
giving
their
it the
consent.
address too, they gave the address of the person.
Then that might be considered a stalking type offense. It depends. Every jurisdiction, every state is different, but I would I'd go out on a limb here and I would say that most of the jurisdictions would look very, very, very negatively on somebody posting the picture, especially of an underage person
Minor.
with their
Yeah.
address. Yeah,
So can they sue that person? Can they sue them, even though they're in
they
a different state?
they can be sued. They can be sued, and they could be prosecuted as well for pulling a stunt like that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. So that was Patrick McGrayo. That I had him on my channel a couple of times. And here's another one, Gloria Rodriguez. Remember those boys that you remember the from Smollett? You remember Smollett? Well, this is Gloria. She's the attorney for the African brothers from the Smollett case. Remember the one that Justice Smollett said that they did some tie him up or some mess like that. Remember that? Okay, this is her.
1 out of every 10 South Americans that you may come across, maybe, is Bolivian. So we're a very small population. I think there's 10 million of us around the world, and 9 of them are in Bolivia. So,
So what language do you speak in Bolivia?
we speak Spanish. We speak Spanish. We're a nice landlocked country, and my parents came to this country from there when they were teenagers. So, so I have a very unique way of getting into the law and being a professional. But I always try to think, there's so many people out there that really just everyday people that need legal advice. Corporations and big businesses, that's all great, but like the everyday person who runs into problems, those were my parents. They could have used a lawyer like me, so I knew early on I wanted to be that kind of lawyer.
Okay, so what type of lawyer are you?
Yeah, so I do what's called general practice. My office, as soon as I got licensed, I went into my own private practice, and I used to call it door law. Whatever walks through my door, child support, criminal defense, DUI, orders of protection, estate planning, probate cases, whatever it was, if you needed a lawyer to write an angry letter, you could call me and I would research that. And if you needed someone to help you with the fence dispute you're having with your neighbor, I realized that being a lawyer like that, a general practice lawyer, you have to stay on your toes. You have to read a lot. You have to stay up to date on a lot of different areas of the law. But I think doing it that way makes me a better lawyer. And so to test that theory, even though I'm licensed in Illinois, earlier this year, kind of on a whim, I took the California bar exam. Only 33% of the applicants passed, and I was one of them. So
wow,
yeah.
You're smart. Yay, congratulations.
Thank you. 208 attorneys passed the attorney-only exam, and I think there's like 8,000 people that sat for it, and it's one of the hardest bars, if not the hardest bar in the United States. And so to me, it was just a testament to the generality of my knowledge and my experience. And so I've been doing this for the last 11 years.
11 years.
Put on the table.
So you've been a lawyer for 11 years?
11 years. 11
wow.
years. I have a great stylist who hides the grays.
Great. I know a couple of celebrities, and you have had high profile cases. I was reading, and you had the I forgot how to say the name, the one that was with the Smollett case.
The
What was it?
Osundaro brothers. Yes.
Osundaro brothers, yeah. And also you had most recent Tim Norman. Is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. That's right. Welcome to Sweetie Pies.
Welcome to Sweetie Pies. How did you get on that case?
Oh wow. How did I get on that case? So even though I love doing appearances and things, my law firm is 100% word of mouth. So people usually they have some connection to me that's either directly me. So when I first started my law firm, I kid you not, I grew my practice one client at a time, just one family, and then they referred me and they referred me, and that's that's the whole business, you know. And so it was Tim Norman and his family had gotten a little frustrated, we could say, with the prior lawyers, and so I knew someone who had worked on the show with them, and they had my name through I can't say his name, a very famous celebrity who I did a contract for. And so he passed my name on, and I sat with Miss Robbie, who is just an amazing person. And then I met her son, you know, at the St. Genevieve County Jail. And then I kind of heard what their concerns were, and I built the legal team around them. And that included, of course, Mr. Mike Leonard, who
Yes.
I know you have a connection with.
Yes, I met Mr. Leonard. I've been to his office one time, and that he was on Mr. Kelly's case at the time too. And also you were representing two individuals on Mr. Kelly, right? Is that correct?
That's right. Way back when. So I, my intro to R. Kelly's case really was through Diana Copeland. If you remember, she was Mr. Kelly's executive assistant for the last 15 years that he was there. And you know, it's funny, her story was really different than the story that some of the people testified to. And she was kind of the face of the employees. And it seemed like a lot of the employees didn't get a chance to testify. And it's hard if you're going to go to trial decades later. You know, people die, people move away, people change jobs. So for Mr. Kelly to really mount a defense all these years later, I think that that's really, really tricky. But Diana, being one of the people that had been with him the longest, she had gotten my name word of mouth again, and she wanted representation through that process. And through my connection with Diana, I met Azriel and Joycelyn.
Okay. But how long did you was their attorney for? How long?
For like a blink of an eye. Because they're very nice girls. One thing I gotta say, man, Azriel could sing. Like, I forget, we were talking in Mr. Kelly's apartment one afternoon, and she sang me like the scale. I'm not gonna do it. But she knocked my socks off. So I can only imagine the kind of music that, you know, Robert and Joycelyn and Azriel maybe made. And like, could you imagine those?
Do you think they made some music? Do you think they have some music, hidden music somewhere?
Oh gosh. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure of it. And when I find it, I will help them inventory it if they want my help.
Okay. All right. One of the things. All right, y'all. That was another interview. I'm telling y'all, I have a vault. When I tell you, I have 3,000 videos, y'all. So I have a vault of videos of interviews, and I I mean, I've interviewed more than 20 attorneys on my channel. More than 20. Quite a few. Quite a few attorneys I interviewed. I interviewed a couple of YSL and attorneys. Well, let's bring one up. Hold on a second. Let's bring another one up. Hold on. One of YSL interviews. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here's another one right here. A YSL interview. Here we go right here.
My bag. But under Georgia law, you don't have to have your bottle at all if you're a patient with a prescription.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was. And so they really jumped to conclusions. The statute has multiple parts. They only read the first line of pills not in their original container. Well, there's only certain categories of pills and people that applies to. And one that it doesn't apply to is someone like me who's prescribed them from their doctor. And so it wasn't even illegal to begin with. So I'm illegally detained. I'm in handcuffs. And anything that happens after you're illegally detained is also thrown out. And you actually are allowed to, technically allowed, I don't recommend this, but you're technically allowed to resist an unlawful detention. So you can't, they try to charge me with obstruction now, but I'll be found not guilty of that too. I'll be found not guilty across the board, and I have an amazing attorney, Brian Tevis. And so I don't think, there's just no way anything's going to stick on me. And they're just ridiculous. They initially charged me with battery on a public official, but then even the people in charge of the final charging allegation didn't go with that. So it was ridiculous. I was trying to get my phone out of my pocket. Not I'm hiding anything in it, but it's my work phone. All my clients call me on that. I don't have my number. I know I'm being detained unlawfully, so I don't know what's going to happen next. Are they going to hurt me? Are they going to take me to jail for a long time? Am I going to get a bond? My clients that have a bond given to them sometimes don't get out of Rice Street for like 2 days, when they're, processing you. So I'm sitting here thinking, man, my clients might see me on the news getting arrested. I'm the one attorney they have that's in charge of their freedom, that's fighting for their life. They're going to see me be arrested. They're going to panic. And they're also going to wonder if I'm okay, because I have pretty close, interactions with my clients. And so I'm worried about that. I wanted at least my phone to be out in the world with someone I trust, so that I can give them my passcode and they can give me the numbers so I can start making some jail calls to my people, my guys. That's what I'm worried about. So I'm in handcuffs. I get my phone out of my left pocket while I'm in handcuffs, and I go to toss it to one of my colleagues. And, I missed the colleague, and I sadly, it touched on one of the deputies' bulletproof vests. So thoughts and prayers out, everybody, to her. I hope she's okay. I really hope she's all right, because that must have been quite traumatizing. So yeah, my phone touches on her bulletproof vest, and it was nuts. These people, man, it's like, for the first time, I actually experienced something that my clients tell me about that I never experienced myself. It was like kids at a birthday party when the piñata burst with the candy. When that phone touched her, they were like, "Whoa, my God, he battered a public official! Oh my God!" Like they were like they had just won the game. But I mean, we've seen the internet today, so I don't think they won in the end.
Okay, so were you charged eventually? Was that dropped?
No. Well, it wasn't dropped. I just never got charged that in the first place.
Okay.
They changed it to obstruction of an officer for not following their directions. Like they were telling me, don't give them your phone, and I did. But that is also a not guilty, because you're allowed to not follow the directions of an unlawful detention,
Did they read your Miranda rights?
No, I mean, Miranda actually only applies when they're attempting to get a statement from you. So you have to be in custody. They have to ask you a question that's incriminating, and then you answer without being read your rights. And then all that does is exclude the statements. But the obstruction is not going to stick. And then the really slimy thing they did is they charged me with a felony, not just misdemeanors, a felony of possession with a controlled substance, because one of the medications is a controlled substance, and the bottle says a certain dose. And then I had that in there, but then I only got that dose increased in the last few months. And so I also had in there some pills from the prior lower dosage by just 5. It's only 5 milligrams different. And then they try to say that because those two are a different color and they're a different dosage by 5 milligrams than what it says on the outside of the bottle, and that it's a controlled substance, that for those two, I'm guilty of felony possession of a controlled substance. But I was also prescribed those by that same doctor. And so, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I think they did that just hoping that my bond would be higher, that maybe I wouldn't be able to pay it. You know, Second Chance Bail Bonds, this company just paid my bond for me because they saw it on the internet and they thought it was so messed up.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then my friend, attorney Brian Tevez, he's a genius attorney. You know, he came to my aid. He visited me while I was in there, up on the 9th floor in the sheriff jail cell. But yeah, they held me in there. You know, didn't give me any food, didn't give me any water, but I'm fine. And so that, yeah, none of that's gonna stick. But I got a felony charge, which then complicates thing because we know who's in charge of charging the felonies in Fulton, Bonnie Willis, who I have Miles's case as well as several others open. So that's a conflict. So now what's going to have to happen is what's called PAC. It's the Prosecutor Action Council or something like that, Action Committee. I don't even know, but it's called PAC. It's a group of prosecutors and they run this type of thing. They're going to have to find somebody besides Fulton to take this case and try to prosecute me with it. And because I think this whole thing was just retaliation for maybe some things I said in the bond hearing or the way I'd been challenging some of the things that they say. And then also the way the deputies have been picking on us and picking on me and the way I've been a little needling them back for a while, especially this week. I doubt that the district attorney of any other county is going to want to prosecute it, especially also given that there's no way they can get a conviction because it's just flat out wrong. But you'll see. Yeah, Brian Tevez is good. I'm sure that whoever this gets assigned to, he'll meet with them. And if the DA is reasonable and smart and doesn't want to waste their money on getting a not guilty, they'll drop it. If not, we'll just go to trial and I'll win, and that'll be that.
Wow, this is like now you have the experience to know and have empathy for your clients because you know now how they go, what they go through.
Right. Like the whole time you just feel like, wow, it's literally a conspiracy. They want to say, whatever YSL they want to say is a conspiracy. Maybe that's a bit of projection because they're actually the ones that do conspiracies. Just the whole thing, charge me with something I didn't do, framing something that I did as obstruction or battery, which it wasn't, and then, do whatever they did. So.
And with this, everything that's happening, even with you, it's really tainting the whole system with this trial. I don't know where they're going to fair trial.
Right. Even though my, reputation on the internet about this is favorable, who's to say that someone even just seeing it isn't going to maybe think differently of Miles or think differently of me when we finally get Miles's trial? They're going to be like, oh yeah, I saw that lawyer in the shade room. He's a criminal. So I mean, I don't know. That's why I was trying to make as many statements as I could today. And I appreciate everyone and people like yourself for, giving me a platform to tell the truth.
Yeah. And that's definitely necessary. I went through the same thing. Someone lied on me, eventually got thrown out. But the point is, my whole image, my everything is just like, I can't believe it. But I knew the truth. I still had to pay $5,000 for an attorney.
Right. Exactly. And what's sad about that is, in a weird way, when they know, that's why they do these things, because they know that even if they're wrong, they're going to win in a small way. They're going to get a punishment on you. You could have gone on vacation with that $5,000. You could go to Dubai, but you gave it to a lawyer and they got that from you. So they stole that vacation from you. So they win. They always win in a small way,
Yeah.
So,
and my picture's still all over the place. My picture's still.
Yeah. And you're not allowed to take things off Twitter. That's why I do want to tell the truth on, platforms like this and wherever I can. Because you just don't get that back. And then also the process itself is punishing. Like, you're supposed to be presumed innocent. And even when people get a bond, like I had a pregnant woman colleague's client that I was trying to help. And even after they posted her bond on a case that she supposedly missed court for, even though she already took a plea. So the whole thing was a mistake, but she gets a bond, she pays it, and it still took like 36 hours for her to get out. So that's like, and she's in Rice Street, which we all have seen on the news lately, is incredibly cruel inside of there. So, I mean, why do you have to do all that? Even the intake thing is humiliating and degrading. Like, they made me take off all my clothes.
Wow.
Like, I go in a room with a deputy that's got literal just feces in a hole, and it smells like feces and it's dirty everywhere. And I got to take off all my clothes, including my underwear, in front of this guy. And then I have to squat and cough.
Yeah,
to
I did the
supposedly
same
make
thing.
sure that I don't have anything inside my body. And then they take you to the medical area. They do a tuberculosis test, which is nasty. That's what they do. They puncture your skin and it inflates like the size of a Skittle, under your arm. And if it goes down all the way, that means you don't have tuberculosis. And I've kind of learned to get a little smart. If you just refuse that, then they're not going to do it. Like I kept telling them, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a COVID test, not doing any of this stuff that you guys are going to do to just kind of mess with my body and make me uncomfortable. And that I'm not consenting to any medical procedures or tests. And if you stand your ground with that, they will, pretty much, they didn't make me do it. I don't know if that's an attorney thing. So and that's what's crazy is I was so privileged throughout the whole process. I have top attorneys helping me. I have the sheriff is worried about the politics of it. He's worried about me getting hurt. They never had me around the other inmates in the intake room. Once you're done doing the medical harassment and and all that stuff and getting naked and the sexual humiliation that comes with that, then they put you in a cell like an animal with like 20 people where you only have like a square foot to yourself and you're just standing there for hours. They didn't do that to me. But I think they only did it because they knew if I got hurt, then, that would look even worse because just the way our society is set up, that would get attention more than someone that's poor getting hurt, So I don't know, crazy.
Did you eventually take your medicine?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I got out luckily. That's another thing. Yeah, I got out luckily by the time the next day that I would need to be taking it. But had I been in there multiple days, I doubt they would have given it to me. And then that would have been also uncomfortable. So all these ways that they just punish us outside of the rules without any evidence, we don't even have preliminary hearings. So the cops could have taken it even further. They could have said, oh, we think this is something it's not. And then without probable cause, I would just be sitting in there.
Wow.
And also they're used to picking on people that have a long criminal history from this thing happening to them a lot, where I've been fortunate to not have people target me like this. But people that have been targeted, throughout their lives, and then you take a plea that you shouldn't have because you got the public defender or you can't afford the bond, and they put something on the table like, oh, do you want to wait for your trial in 8 months without a bond, or do you want to just say you did it and go on probation for a year? What do you want to do? They do this over and over and over. So you got a guy that's got maybe 3-4 things on his record. If that was me, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be in there without a bond. And then I probably would have admitted something I didn't do too, just to get out and get back to Miles, get back to fighting the case. So yeah, it's a very intricate system. And I mean, for what it is, I mean, it's brilliant in the way that it hurts people. It's hard to stop it. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things working together that make it difficult for people not to be punished for things they didn't do, and for people to be punished more for the things they did do than they should be. So, and that is an issue that people also don't think about. Like, okay, even if somebody's guilty, if he should have got 6 months in jail, why is he getting 3 years?
Yeah.
Why can't people have a punishment that's proportionate to what they're accused of? And why can't the punishment for everyone be the same for when they do the same things as each other?
Yeah. Speaking of that, I know you got some good news today where Farley got bond. How much is it? Because at one point I thought when you text me, I thought it was like 650,000.
Yeah.
But it's 625. Which one is
It's
it?
higher than normal. It's $625,000 US. And through our bonding company system, which is a weird system that profits off of all of this and profits off of people's desperation and poverty and the unfair parts of the system. Usually they pay you have to pay them like 10 to 12%, and then they pay the rest. And the way their business works is kind of like health insurance. They're betting on people going back to court, because like when Miles posts this bond, he's probably gonna have to pay like 70,000, 75, 80 with the surcharges and everything, and then the bonding company will pay the rest. And then if Miles violates something and his bond gets taken away, the bonding company doesn't get that money back. But when we go to trial and Miles is found innocent, then the bonding company's good. So they have hundreds and hundreds of people, and every once in a while somebody misses court or whatever, fails a drug test, they lose that money, but they get all this 70,000 here, 50,000 there, 20,000 there. They get to keep that. So that's their business model. And so now Miles, to post his bond, is going to have to come up with something, like 70, 75K. And then every bonding company is different. I hope with the notoriety of this and how innocent he is and how strong our defense is, that maybe a bonding company will step up and give us a better rate. But I mean, even if we had to pay half, 35K, that's gonna be rough. There's other special conditions too: ankle monitor, wrist monitor, curfew, staying at a certain house, not going to certain places, not talking to certain people. I mean, there's other innocent people on the indictment that are family friends of his, and it's like, I mean, he's growing up with some of these people, and so he's not allowed to talk to them now. He's not allowed to go certain places. Yeah, he's not allowed to leave the house unless it's for school or work or to come to my office. So it's rough. I mean, it's definitely not freedom in the full sense, but it's more freedom, of course, than what the other defendants, the other defendants are suffering through now. So yeah, it's like a partial freedom, I guess.
So with him being severed now, how long will it take for him to get a trial?
Well, that's same as the question as, how long is this trial going to take? Because it's going to have to be afterwards, because Glanville's still in charge of us. I'm still his attorney, and Glanville's still his judge. So whenever this trial ends, that trial will begin whenever Glanville wants it to. And that'll include Miles and then maybe the 6 others that have been severed. But who knows if they'll have an attorney or if they'll be severed again for some reason from each other. Or will they take some kind of resolution? Will they lie in exchange for some kind of deal, which has happened? Yeah, who knows? But I think it's still favorable for Miles because the RICO, everyone, the guys are going to win. But I mean, it's just so much just unfair about this whole trial that I think Miles will have a more fair trial with fewer people, and the jury selection won't take so long. If it is really 4 or 5 of us after this one's done, that'll probably take 2-3 weeks.
So you're going to be trying with the others that has taken the severed?
Yeah, they were set. The other 6 people that were severed were only severed because the state,
attorney, right?
Yeah, the public defender system, which is a whole other mess for you to talk about with the other attorneys that are dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't appoint them attorneys, and so because they didn't have an attorney and Glanville wanted to start, he severed them. And just because I got arrested and Miles couldn't be in court that day and he wanted to go have court that day, he severed Miles. So it's just 6 guys that are severed for that. And then Miles was severed because I wasn't present against my will that day in court.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think what should have happened is they should have waited. They should have one of my doctors actually investigated it. And all that we would have missed out on would be like that half day at court. We could have taken a recess. But it's a blessing, things happen in mysterious ways. I think this is better for Miles. So
yeah, it's the whole system. And I know already because I'm watched just like you guys are watched. I'm watched right now. They're watching my channel. And it's like a power struggle in that whole court. And it's crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. So much tension in that place. So,
Right. I mean, the guys are being tortured. They're not knowing when this is going to end. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, but one silver lining is now that there's 13 defendants instead of 14. I mean, you guys saw earlier this week, I was going to ask a lot of questions over the year.
mm-hmm.
So maybe at least this trial will be just that little bit shorter that we have 13 defendants instead of 14 now.
So you're totally off of it and you're just going to you're still representing Miles, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. I represent Miles always and forever. And we're just going to wait until, he has his chance to have trial, and then I'll have that trial with him and then any of the other defendants. I mean, I really believe that every defendant should have their own trial. It's not fair to ever go to trial with someone else. Yeah, the judge gives these limiting instructions that don't consider this against him, don't consider this against that. But are we even psychologically capable of doing that, even if we were the smartest person and we tried as hard as we could? I don't think so. That's not how bias and perception works with our brain,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think that's fair. Not to mention that the other, we're lucky that in this case that the guys all have excellent attorneys and that the defense and the truth is, aligned. But I've had trials where, that defense attorney is saying something about my guy that's not true, or I'm saying something about his guy that's maybe not making his guy look so good. And then it's just messy. It's unpredictable. You don't get to kind of know what's going to be said, so you end up sometimes fighting 2 fights. Oh, the DA is saying this, I got to fight that. And then that guy's defense attorney is saying that, I got to fight this. That's called an antagonistic defense, and it's grounds for severance. But here in Georgia, the case law, like most issues, is against us on the defense side from the beginning.
Wow.
So the case law for severance here leaves it completely in the discretion of the judge. So, okay, you can have an antagonistic defense, you can have all these other grounds that sever a trial, but it's still considered in the totality by the judge, and he has the discretion to sever or not sever as he pleases. And the Court of Appeals and the Georgia Supreme Court has never reversed like something like that by a judge. They just always say, oh, well, that was his discretion. Just like here in Glanville's, case, there's that discretion. It's very interesting. Mr. Steve Sadow, who represented Sergio Kitchens, he brought a lot of this up, like at a prior hearing, like why it should be severed, why this is too many people at once. The jury pool is going to be, not representative. It's going to take too long, and it's in the discretion of the judge.
Yeah, and you, Jason, you raised some great arguments when you were talking about the bond hearing, when you mentioned that, at Kitchen, he was so dangerous before. All of a sudden, when he says yes, he's no longer a danger, which is definitely a good argument, because it doesn't make sense. It's the same person, same charges, same situation. How is it now he's out on bond? I mean, not out on bond, but on parole and.
Right.
What is it? Parole, right? Isn't
probation? Yeah, he's on probation. Yeah.
Probation. And he's able to walk around, I mean, with curfews and limitation, but he's out.
Right. Exactly. So I think, Judge Glanville accepted that argument, and for someone like Miles, it just kind of cornered him in a way where, well, there wasn't really a reason to deny Miles his bond in the first place. And he seemed like he almost granted it that third time. So I felt like that was enough of a change. And if you also notice, like, it's kind of off topic, but all the proffers that have been made for the probation deals were all answering yes or no questions.
Yes.
So everything's coming out of Adrian Love's mouth, not the defendant's. A more reliable, thing would be, tell me what happened. Tell me what you think YSL is. That's, to me, reliable. But right now you can ask me anything, is it yes? And if I just know that, I got to say yes to whatever you say for me to get out, and I don't have a bond, okay, that's not reliable to me.
Yeah. And would that be since they took a plea and things like that, they can't come back and
Oh, yeah, it's so complicated. Like that, those things that we've seen online that were recorded in court, those answers to those questions are not admissible at trial. Only if the defendant testifies and they say something different can it even come in. But that's where Fonnie Willis was pretty smart doing things this way. Let's say someone like Sergio Kitchens wants to testify. He can't get up there and say YSL doesn't have criminal activity, because then that he would be impeached, and they would say, well, isn't it true you said something before in the past, and now you're not giving a truthful answer, so now your probation deal goes away. But he also doesn't have to go say anything to keep his probation deal. So it's like they just got him out of the way and got him to say all this stuff on social media, I think hoping that the jurors would see it and consider it, unlawfully.
And then with the social media, you see how much it's tainted because it's one-sided. You guys are looking like bad guys. You got the attorney getting arrested for bringing in drugs, and you have people bringing in contraband, blah, 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 blah. All the negativity, all the negative press is coming on you guys. So definitely it's going to be hard for you guys to get over.
Right. Because stuff gets misreported. Like, for example, stuff is misleading. Like, I do got to give it to Shade Room. They're like one of the only ones that had a very accurate headline. They said, attorney in the YSL RICO case brought his prescription medication. But other places just said attorney arrested for bringing prescription medication in the courtroom. But the huge part of that is that it's my prescription from my doctor for my health challenges. And so, like, if you whatever it might be, if it's a prescription pill, that just means what it is. A lot of things are prescription pills, Vicodin, Xanax, Percocet, Adderall. But that, if you don't have a prescription for any of those things, then yeah, that's a crime. So some of those headlines make it seem like that. So a juror might go online and look at that or see it. Or even like on April 28th, we're going to bring in 300 more people to watch that video And none of those people have been instructed by the judge, like, not to look up this case yet. They're going to be told that when they come in on the 28th. So that's where Fonny's smart. She knew we're going to examine hundreds and hundreds of more people who weren't told not to watch it. And I think, like, for example, I think that little Woody interrogation tape, which is, first of all, out of context. So they don't get to know the context. They don't get to know anything about who he is and where he is and why he might be saying what he's saying. And they don't have to hear him answer questions like the officer did when he answered my questions on cross-examination earlier this week. And so I think that was viewed by like 30 million people. And so I'm sure some of the people on this next pool will have seen it, and it's okay for them to have seen it because they weren't told not to. Because the other jurors are told, oh, well, you know, if you see something about this case at all, just exit out, just scroll past it, don't even read it. How realistic that is, I don't know, but yeah, it's at least better than, I mean, it's at least better than not being told anything about it, because this is a very intriguing, interesting topic for people. And so I think anyone that scrolls past it is going to stop and read it. And then on April 28th, they're going to be told to set that aside. And then if they're honest in their questionnaire, they'll say, I've been exposed to this and I can't be fair. But the more people that have been exposed to it and excluded from consideration makes the jury selection process longer. And for the people without a bond, now they're getting punished more for something they didn't do. So,
yeah. Now I have a question. This is something that really like was boggling my mind. The situation with. All right, y'all. That was that piece of it. We've gone through a lot of interviews, huh? A lot of interviews. So that was a great idea, Kim, for putting that thought out there, showing some of the old coverage that I've done, old interviews. It's pretty good. It was pretty good. How did he get his money back in the interrogation room? What money? Cake dog, what are you talking about? What money are you talking about? Woody? Oh, I don't know. Oh no. This is his attorney telling what happened to him while he was representing Farley. Oh. All right, y'all. I'm getting sleepy. I just want to share that with you guys. Going to sleep now. It is almost 12 o'clock. I'm so sorry. Sorry I'm yawning, but I'm about to take my butt to bed. I will see you guys later. All right. I think Woody's statement. Miller. Yes. Good night, everybody. Have a great night. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. Amen. Oh, Lord, I'm sleepy. Good night.